Shambho Mahadev 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 Mahadev. Om Namah Shivaya. Today is the 12th shloka and 101 session, 101. And in the previous shloka, we described about various causes for the desires, and the mind creates all of them, objects of desires. It said that when these foundations are removed, desires also could be removed. And we also explained about over and above this, the life and living. Life which is one, and the living is number of janmas experiencing. When we spoke about attainment of spirituality or attainment of Brahmajnanam, Brahmatattvam through material, through matter, everything is spirituality. Bifurcation of spiritualism, materialism has been created only for the purpose of studies, that's all. There is nothing called, this Dvandvada is not there. Everything is one only. The Nyaya Shastra explains about the Pramana. The Pramanam, Pratyaksha Pramanam, Paroksha Pramanam. Pratyaksha Pramanam is that what you can sense through the sensory system, through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching, through the physical body, through the Indriyas. They are all the Pratyaksha Pramana. It is there, something is there, Pratyaksha is there. You can see that, you can feel it, you can experience it through the Indriyas. So the Shastras have told that this is through learning through the objects, through the Pratyaksha Pramana, traveling through the Pratyaksha Pramana, one travels to the Paroksha Pramana. We see the matter, we see the object, we see the quality of the object, we understand the object, we study about the object, we undergo the experience of many things through the object. It can be emotional feelings, it can anything for that matter. When you look at a flower, somebody just thinks it is a flower, somebody thinks it is beautiful, somebody thinks it is wonderful, somebody creates love and affection inside that, they get a feeling of a different feeling. Looking at the moon, many people feel, some people say it is okay, good moonlight night, we have some light. Somebody says, no, it is so nice, it is wonderful. You feel very nice at the heart, the mind is calm. In like that, while looking at objects, we derive a lot of things. A lot of studies are made through the objective. This is called objective experience. Through the objects, objective in the sense, through the objects what we experience. So they just named, I don't know how it has happened, but somebody named it for the purpose of bifurcation. Studies made through the objects, they called it as materials. Studies made through without the objects, Paroksha Pramana. There is a Pramanam there also, but They are, many things are out of experiencing through the others' experiences, like Maharishis, Tapasvis, Shastras, Vedas, Upanishads, Gurus. Many of them, they come to your own mind sometimes. Many things come into our imagination. Many comes in our dream. Many things come in our system. Automatically, suddenly it comes. Paroksha Pramanam. So we basically, Pratyaksha Pramanam, everybody can do it. Through Pratyaksha Pramanam, we start understanding Kanva or Kanata Muni, Kanata Maharshi, is a person who has identified Matra, Tanmatra, Anu, Paramanu and things like that. He is the one who discovered about it. The Paramanu has been further bifurcated into a number of times. Even the modern scientists have come only up to one limit. Whereas Kanata Maharshi, who has invented this, have divided the Paramanu, that means the absolute Sukshma, the microscopic vision that happens through this one. That Paramanu has been further divided into 21 times. The names are also there. I think earlier also in one of the classes I have told about the names. I don't remember the names now. But it was there, the document. It is documented many years ago. That is how. So he found out that it keeps on bifurcating into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So what is he deriving at? The object, coming into absolute practically, which is called Shunyata, from where all these have, when you reverse travel now, so from there only all these things have come. What is the base? What is the base? That Shunyata, or that absolute, the bifurcation or the division of the Paramanu. That is the truth. From that truth only all these things have come. That means all these things that you are seeing in the world, in the universe, is from that tiny, which cannot be seen neither by naked eyes, nor by instruments, nor by things like that. That Paramanu, from there only everything is come. That means in that very tiny thing, the whole universe or universes have been incorporated. Like a big tree is inside a small seed. Yes, you can easily understand now. How the world has come. The world has come from that tiny thing which cannot be seen at all, which is incorporated in that. When you expand it, when you develop it and when you expand it, it expands. To any extent you want to expand, you expand it. That is why it is known as materialism. That which can be expanded from something, they called it as material, they called it as Bhuta. That's called Bhuta. Bhautika is Bhuta. They are all Bhutas. Okay. So one travels through the matter, material, each and every object when I am visualizing. This world, this house, this climate, this Akasha, this Bhumi, this Jala, the Prakriti, the Purusha, the Stri, the people, the animals, this one. Through that, so we travel further. From where it has come from, this, from the Matra, Tanmatra, Anu, Paramanu, and the bifurcation of them. Ultimately, when you make a study from where it has come, you will come to that from where you cannot even see, from that everything has come. Just from that expanding, those things, all these things have come from that only. And when they all vanish at one point of time, they all will go away one time. Where it goes? It goes into that. That Paramanu. From that Paramanu, again you can expand it and bring it. Again you can destroy it and bring it to that which is not visible. Bhautikam. From where this Bhautika and the capacity of containing all these things have come in that? It has got all the characteristics. By looking at the seed, we do not know how big the tree would be, how the tree will grow, how many leaves it will have, how many fruits, branches and things, trunk it will have. But the moment you planted it and when it starts growing, it grows unimaginable. Can this tree be had the no is inside here? No, it is not like that. It is not crushing it and putting it inside there. From this seed, this can, when you develop this, when you expand this, when you take out the characteristics of this gunas, what is that? The gunas of this, when you develop them, automatically this big universe has come. That's why Adi Shankara said these are all mithya. They are all the expanded version of what you have the Paramanu, that's all. They are all for the purpose of, for the whatever purpose, for the living, for the Bhautika Sukhas, Bhautika Jivan, this have been created. So each and every time we develop something from something, see, from something only something can be created. Most of the developments are taking place from where? What is the basis of it? Basis is from that Paramanu. Now even though many new things are coming, that looks new, but what is the basis again? I told you a story some time back. There was a scientist and God had a conversation. Scientist said, "Hey God, whatever you are making, I can also make it. I can do cloning, I can make human beings. No, it's okay, no problem. I can do everything that what you are doing." He said, "Okay, you make it." So he said, you make one small, what is it, toy or something, whatever it is, something. So he picked up the mud from the ground and then started making the mud toy. He said, "Stop it now. Mud is made by me. You cannot touch it. You make something, from that you make something. From that only you can, see, you cannot touch what I have made. You said you can make anything. I have made, created the earth. You create and then you take the earth and then make the toy. You created earth." So scientists said no. So, you see, you got my point. Everything is developed. We can develop it. I mean, we can develop in the sense what? Depending upon our necessities and requirements, we have innovated, we have found out certain methods to use it. Like the knife, I told this in number of years ago. The ancestors, the people who are Stone Age, what we call as Stone Age, when people were born, they had nothing. They had to pluck the leaves and fruits or whatever it is, eat and all that. Gradually they developed. They developed, with the stones. They made, sharp edge stones so that they can cut it. Then gradually they made it from the wood. Then they made it from, they found out how to make a metal. Then from the metal they made the axe and swords and knives and things like that. Like this, depending upon requirement from time to time, era to era, we developed from the previous ones. But the basis is from where it is making being made. Where are you getting metals from? Could you make? You are making steel. From where? From the iron ore. Could you make iron ore? No. The iron ore. Could you make limestone? Because most ingredients of steel is only iron ore and limestone. You see, they are the ingredients, and oxygen, the carbon dioxide inside. With that, you burn in the furnace at a higher temperature, you melt it, and then you derive something. From there, you improve something else through various processes. You make steel. But basics is what? From there, from the iron ore. From where the iron ore has come, where the coal has come, where all these things have, everything, all the minerals have. From those minerals, you have developed something. Okay, depending upon your requirement. Gold. Ornaments you are making from the gold. Where is the gold coming from? Could you make the gold? Can you make a gold? Can the scientist with the chemicals added to that? Something like gold you can make it, but you cannot make gold. What I am trying to tell you is that everything has come from that Paramanu. In that Paramanu, everything is incorporated. Now, We cannot imagine, for a normal mind, it is impossible to think that all these things have come from the Paramatma. But that's a fact. That's the truth. That has to be understood. This has to be believed, this has to be understood. There is no other way. Yes, from that only it has come. When everything is destroyed, like Pralaya we call it. Pralaya comes from where again reinvention, and so many times it has happened to the universe. From where it has come, the mountains, the earth, the mountains, the people, the animals, from where it has come? From this Paramatma. It contains everything. Like a seed contains everything. That big tree, leaves and branches and fruits and whatnot, everything. This Paramatma is the one which contains everything. From there you have expanded it. This is called Bhautika, materialism. That means Bhautika, you can do it. But then, understanding that this Paramatma is the one which from which all this can be created, is called spiritualism. How to understand this Paramatma has got? How to understand the seed? If I put the seed, plant the seed, there I will get a tree, is called Paroksha Pramanam. It's not a Pratyaksha Pramanam. Thinking that, before that, knowing it, that this I planted, then the tree will come, is a Paroksha Pramana. Like that, the power of the Brahman, or the Brahman, existence of the Brahman, from where this Paramatma, who has created this Paramatma then? Where this Paramatma has come? Okay, you kept on dividing. At one point, cannot vanish. Who and how this has come is what the investigations, the Maharishis, through tapasya, they wanted to find out from where it has come. Then they realized that, like we say, from the power of mind. So like that they invented, they found out. It is from that invisible, all-pervading Brahman. They called it as Brahman because it's auspicious. Brahman is auspicious. They called it as Brahman because it is auspicious, which cannot be identified. Who put the capacity into that Paramatma by which you blow in any way, you expand it. Depending upon your requirements, you will get things. Who put this capacity into that Paramatma? Or how this Paramatma has been created? There was no answer. There is no answer. Even today, scientific, what we call as science, they have no answer from where it has started. You can talk about Big Bang, that bang, this bang, and all that. How this development has taken. And destruction also takes place like that. Once it is, if something is destroyed from the world, where is it going? No. Where it has gone? Gujarat, there was an earthquake, or tsunami was there. All that what has been destroyed, where is it gone? We say it merged with the mud and then became mud. That's all what we can see. Everything has been crushed and became mud. Earth, it has become earth. That earth is again created from that Paramatma, and that earth is again into the Paramatma. So it means whatever huge things you can make. You can make 350 story building. What happened to that the tower in United States? That industry, what is that? Trade Center. Where is it gone? At one point of time, you have to stand and look like this, and today you have to look like this. Where is it gone? No? Today you have to look like this. Where is it gone? Can you make out something? Can you bring something out of it? Maybe some particles which has not been still disintegrated. Something may be remaining, but that also will get disintegrated at one point of time or other. Nothing will be left. There won't be any mark. Everything comes from that. Everything goes into that. Is what the Maharishis found out. Everything is coming from that Brahman, from that auspicious Brahman, which is not visible. Paramatma is visible. That which is visible, that which can be felt and identified through the sensory system, that can be developed through the mind and intellect. They called it as Bhautika. That the power which has been given to that Paramanu, from where it has come, that is called the Paroksha Pramana. Invisible Paroksha Pramana. Invisible or inaccessible source. One is an accessible, visible source, another is invisible, inaccessible source. From that invisible, inaccessible source only, the power has come to the accessible and visible source. This is how the division has happened. But ultimately what happened? They are all belonging to that which is called spiritualism. The spiritualism is that to identify those, the materialism or the sensories, that which can be identified by sensory system, is only very, very limited. It's only that. But when you go into that Paroksha Pramana, that means that which is invisible Brahman, the exploration that you can do is enormous. How many times of that, this Bhautika, that you can travel. In this materialism, you can travel only up to that, up to which? Up to a matter and then finish. Worse comes, you will come up to the Panchabhutas. All this will be converted into, so each one you have to start converting. The next step, come back, Then we will come to Panchabhutas. That's all. Everything will come into Panchabhutas. From Panchabhutas again you further divide it. Then you will come to one, that which is from where this has happened, this has all been created. But then, how to travel beyond? This traveling beyond through the experience of the materialism, that means through the experience of the sensory system, you go beyond the sensory system. Through the sensory system, you do tapasya. You start the tapasya, you do the tapasya through the sensory system actually. The mind. You feel the mind, you feel that. And gradually what happened at one point of time, that feeling or sensation or sensory, what we call a feeling is sensation. That sensation will not be there, sensory system will not be there, the mind itself will not be there. Then you gain the knowledges, something. That is called Paroksha Pramana. That what you gain, which cannot be seen, which cannot be identified. From where everything comes. You say you pray to the God, this happens. How it has happened? It's true. If you really do a prayer in the right way, right sense, it will happen. Paroksha Pramana. Who is that God? The God is that one which is Brahman, which is an invisible, inaccessible source of everything. Like you expand from the Paroksha, Pratyaksha Pramana, Anu, you expand from Paroksha Pramana, you will find those which are all inaccessible and invisible can be seen and accessed. Same principle. Here mind and intellect is necessary, there mind and intellect should not be there. Is how the Paroksha is the difference between the life and the living. Now you understand. Living is experiencing. Living is experiencing. Accumulating that experience into one is called the life. The life is number of janmas, the life is one. The living is different. I just bifurcate it. Living is different. So the source is one. And I also told about last class, I'm repeating of course, in last class we said, about the rasa we said. That means, we attain the gist of everything. Gradually what happens, as I told you now, from the matter that is available in the universe, gradually analyzing through the tapasya, the tapasvi have found out they are all merged into one atom. From the atoms of atom, and from that Paramanu, then Anu, Paramanu, and then bifurcations, and goes into that. Everything has gone into that. You see. Through that he could experience it. Rasa is that. It's the identification of that. Rasa is the gist of everything. So that rasa, Bhagavan, I explained about that. Not to experience that rasa. You can experience the rasa, but you should not utilize it because it's not meant for you. It is only your job is in your life, in your living, in your living. You are supposed to create that rasa. You should know that it is the rasa that comes out of all these things. Identify them. But you are not supposed to enjoy that rasa. Bhagavan said, you submit it to me. Many people cannot even now imagine how is it possible. All this can happen, then I don't give it, I don't use it. Prakriti has shown to us, the nature has shown to us it is very simple, easy. How? You see thousands of flowers, All those flowers, they create honey. Has any flower so far in this universe, has any flower or any tree or any plant drank or consumed the honey? No. It just kept it for whom? For the bee to come and take it and go away and give it somewhere else. Or use it for something else. It has never consumed. Did any tree eat its fruits? No. Not meant for that. What happened? Tree, after toiling so many years of growing, with all the standing in the nature, with rain, sun, and then winter and the summer and the storm and that, standing all that for what? To create fruit for somebody else. Just an example. Absolutely. Why? That is what is called experiencing, not enjoying the rasa of it. The flower making the honey but not consuming it, is that the flower's job is to the making the honey, that's all. Its job ends there. Its karma ends there. Human being's job, just execute your karmas, your responsibility is over, not to enjoy the results. Human being having an analytical mind, he started enjoying the results, so he became an egoistic person. He became desirous. He became this, he became that. All these things have happened. That's why human. So that's why he got number of rebirths has to be taken in order to fulfill these karmas. That's why in Bhagavad Gita Bhagavan said, submit your karma balas to me. So many people found it. They asked many questions. How is it possible? When I do something, I get a karma. Bala, why not I enjoy it? It is my effort. No. Your effort, there is no doubt about it. But something, as I told you that the Paramanu, from there everything comes. Who made you to do the effort? Who gave you the opportunity to make you the effort? Who created you in this earth to make all these things possible for you? How did you come? With whose capacity you have come? What was the process that you could come? And how did you think that how to do the karma? From where you got the efficiency to do the karma? Where you got the intelligence to do the karma? Where you got the knowledge to do the karma? Everything has been given from some unknown source. You call it mind, you call it intelligence, you call it intellect, you call it atma, you call it something, you call anything for that matter, but it is all unknown source, is it not? From there, you got an idea, for what? For you to get liberated so that you don't have to be born again with the body and mind in order to undergo the sufferings of this karma bhumi, so that you gain the benefit out of it. These capacities and these facilities, both the facility is there and capacity is there. So both capacity as well as facility has been provided to you. You have to execute that karma only. Rice has been given to you, water has been given to you, the stove has been given to you, fire has been given to you, lighter has been given to you, and a utensil also has been given to you. You have to pour all these things and put it in the fire and cook it, that's all. And you say the rice is mine. At last, the rice is mine and I ate it. You see, nothing is yours. Every effort, everything has been provided to you. I'm just giving an example. Is it not? All the capabilities, all the facilities have been provided to you. You have been given the Janma in the Bhumi, you have been given all these things, everything has been given to you. You have to execute this karma, how the result of it, it can be yours. Why did he make you do all that? Why did he give you all these facilities? How did you? Why did he give you all the capabilities, efforts to be made? Efforts to be made is because you undergo the experience of just making it. That's all. Because you cannot make the facility, neither you can make the effort. Neither you can make the source. You cannot make. So the source and facility both are I am providing. You only do execute that, how to arrange it. It is like we are telling children, suppose you buy a building block and mix together box, you drop it down and ask the child, you take these blocks and put like this, it will become a building block. You can build anything from that. That's what you are doing. And that building is not his. He did the effort to make it, learned the effort to make it, so that if he can make it, he has overcome the difficulties. In the human being also, when you do execute your karmas, the rasa is not yours. It has to be given back to the source. The source and facility has been provided to you. The strength and facility has been provided to you. You have to execute that and give it like a flower making honey, and then ceases of his responsibility. We just make the karma, execute the karma in the right manner. That's why Bhagavan said, all the karmas you do, results will be there. Let the results be there. Some of the results, he will tell you to take it and enjoy it. You use it. Most of the results, you don't enjoy it. You don't necessarily. Some of the results from there we may require in order to execute further karmas, not for enjoying it, but for the facility of executing further karmas, we may require some of the facilities, some of the results. That result, I will take it, but not for enjoyment. They called it as enjoying the results. It's called karma bhala. Enjoying the results means your individual, personal desires, to fulfill your desires, egoistic desires, consuming that result, that what you have done from your effort, if you use it, that is called the karma bhala. Creating the honey, remember that. This is what one is supposed to do it. So I thought I will explain that further on that why Bhagavan said that, do karma and submit to me. In one sentence he has told. So thousands of people have questioned, what is this man telling? If I may make a house, don't you think that I will not live in the house? He has never told you to live in the house. Live in the house. Don't claim that it is mine. Don't attach that towards you. You live in the house. You have been provided. This karma phala, building the house, after the karma, the phala out of that is made a house. Yes, you can use it for executing your karmas. It's not yours. Is it yours? I have explained this also earlier. Everything has been told earlier, of course. Ancestral properties, today fight is there, These fellows, useless ones, they have done nothing in their life. Parents and grandparents and others have done so many things, so much of money, jewelry, houses and properties and business, and all this happened. And this fellow sitting, not doing nothing and eating, he is fighting for that. You understood what I tried? It's okay that they do it, it's alright. But do you understand what I am saying? Nothing is yours. Same way, nothing is ours. Whatever we do effort, it is meant for others. For others to execute their karmas in the facility. Our parents, whatever they have earned, they have given to us. We are supposed to utilize it. No problem. Utilize it. But for executing a better karma and also transferring all this to the coming generation. For them to execute it. Because you have learned the experience from that. You got a car, you got a house, you got this, you got that. You learned everything from that. Once you have learned it, you give it to somebody. He has to learn it. He has to undergo the experience. Raja has been ruling the country for so many years. When the son grew up to matured enough to take over the kingdom, he takes Vanaprastha and goes. Hand over all those things to the son. I have experienced in my life whatever is necessary for me. I have experienced out of what has been given to me. I have experienced it. I attained that experience. That experience I am taking with me. That's all. That what efforts experience. No benefit of that effort I am taking with me. Not that, no, give me horse, give me chariot, give me soldiers along with me, give me material to build my house. No, he just walks, no, without anything. It's called Vanaprastha. Those days, no, the Puranas, you can see Vanaprastha. What is the meaning of that? Actually, that is how it is to be done. You enjoy. Many people think, no, we should not. If I made a house, I should not live in it. No, live in it. But here it is not the question. No, as I told you, father has made, mother has made, and so many things, jewelries and money, this, that, and all that. But here, instead of giving it, you are fighting on that and you are killing each other to have owned that, possess that and own it. Is it not? What happens in the world? We are seeing it. Murders are taking place only for few coins, and after that he also dies. What happens to this? Killing each other. For what? For what is not yours. Okay, this has been provided to you by God's grace only to undergo the experiencing of it in your life. You are supposed to execute certain karmas through this. Why? To fight. What is meant for you will come to you. Experience it. The result of that is not yours. That's it. So when you enjoy the result, this is how, what is the difference between using the result and enjoying the results are totally different. As I told you, I bought the rice and this, that, not brought it. I need food to eat. I have to eat food to sustain my body, to execute my karma. It's okay, fine, no problem. I hoard it. Is adharma. So like this is how pratyaksha pramanam, paroksha pramanam, that which is not visible, that which is not there, is from where all these things have come. Something is there, that's how it has come. We cannot say shunya. What is shunyata? Shunyata is that what I don't understand is called shunyata. Shunyata to the conscious mind is called shunyata. No? But that what is shunyata to the conscious mind is known to the higher consciousness or consciousness. That is called the spiritualism or spirituality, what we call. That from the source, to understand the source, we are only knowing the outcome or product of it. That's called materialism, the product. The source is known as the higher consciousness or that which is paroksha pramana, apratyaksha pramana. That has to be proved. That cannot be explained as it is invisible, or it cannot be understood by the conscious mind. This cannot be explained in words. Yato vacho nivartante apropya manasa saha. Words cannot explain this. Expressions cannot explain this because it's not there. We know something has been evaporated. We only have to know that. That what has been evaporated, can you see? Apratyaksha pramana. But I know it has been evaporated. Where is it? Where is that evaporated thing? No. Can I identify? I cannot identify. But it is there. It is there or not? It is there. Apratyaksha pramana. From that only, again condensation takes place. Again we get a rain or water. Is again apratyaksha pramana. How is it proved? Like that, so many things. So that is how the Brahman, the concept of the Brahman, that high power, highest consciousness, the the higher consciousness or the absolute consciousness, what we call it as absolute consciousness, from which this Paramanu has come, and from there it is. So to identify between the Paramanu and that highest consciousness or the absolute consciousness is called the spiritualism or spirituality. From the Paramanu to the Bhautika things is the materialism as this one. But all this, when you travel this, everything is spirituality. Even what last time we said about the dependency and the object experiencing through the object. So through the object we started experiencing. Where is God? We look at the photograph. Photograph is an object. So through that photograph of the God, I create my Pratyaksha Pramana, and from the Pratyaksha Pramana I close my eyes, then I go beyond that, beyond the photograph, beyond the picture, beyond the perception of mind, understanding of mind, and that is God. That's called Apratyaksha Pramana. No? So the Pratyaksha Pramana or the object is necessary to make you do that. That is how this has been known as object experience, objective experience, or they call it as materialism. Is it materialism? No. What is this material for? Material for spirituality. Every activity is spirituality. Every activity, I told this number of times, every activity, you are listening to satsang, we are reading the Upanishad, we are reading the books, we are eating, we are sleeping, we are doing everything in this universe. All for what? Liberation in the right manner. To reach the dharma, to reach the right manner of the dharma. So that is what it is, the clarifications for that. We will go to the next sloka, 12th sloka. 12th sloka says, Atidanagatam Swarupato Satyatva Vedat Dharmanam. Atidanagatam. Atita, Anagata, the past and the future. The past and future exist in their own Swarupo, in their own right. The past and future exist in their own right. The difference in properties, Beda, the difference in properties are due to various Beda Dharmanam, through the different paths. The past and future is existing in their own right. The difference in the properties are due to the various paths. The difference what we are seeing in various things in this universe is due to the gunas. The various paths are various gunas. The world exists apart from man. Basic studies on this. As I told you some time back, the world is nothing but what we experience through the sensory system. What I see is my world. What I hear is my world. What I smell is my world. What I taste is my world. What I do, sparsha, is my world. That what I am experiencing is my world. And experiencing is done through the Panchendriyas or Dashendriyas, Panchendriyas. the world exists apart from the man. I am experiencing it. That means apart from me. When I experience it, that becomes my world. So here he says that the world exists apart. That's the meaning of apart from the world. You should not misunderstand this word as that you and the world are two different things. No, it's not that. But it is various parts of individual that create what appears to be different properties and characteristics of the world, separating Prakriti and Purusha. What we see, the differences, different things, are due to different parts, the individual that create what appears to be different. The individual is the one who creates these paths, different expressions, maybe gunas, maybe experiences through each one. That's what I said. What you experience is your world. So he said the world, even though the world is apart from you, whatever you experience becomes your world. Whatever the other person experiences, it becomes his world. Whatever another person experiences, it becomes his world. Why this difference? If the world is one and the world is existing, everyone should have the same thing. This is a camera, Everybody will say this is a camera, should say. If that is, that's it. But here it is not the case. Each one has a different path. Each one has taken various paths of individual that create what appears to be different properties and characteristics. Each one identifies the object as different properties and characteristics of the world, separating Prakriti and Purusha. This is what I told you some time back in the previous the explanations. When I see an object, I differentiate my thoughts, differentiate the Prakriti and Purusha. I identify it as a pure object. It's because of my thought. I say it is a metal. Somebody said it's an idol. Somebody said it's a metal. Somebody said it is a sculpture. Somebody said it is something else like that. We drawing or sketch, many things have been explained. They are all depending upon their own creation of identity of that. That object is one only, same thing. But from how is that object? The object is there. From where this object has come? What is the study to be made? Characteristics. If one understands, or if everybody has to understand the same, they have to pass through this objective experience, as I told you previously, from where this metal has come, from where this sculpture has come, or deity has come, from the made out of the metal, from where the metal has come, from this, from where it has come, and ultimately identify it is from the Brahman. This is called identifying the world by Advaita Siddhanta. In everything, identifying the Advaita Siddhanta. Everything has come from it. For that, everybody has to have a taste to look at the object in the same way, an analytical way of identifying the properties and characteristics of the world without dividing the Prakriti and Purusha, or rather merging the Prakriti into Purusha. This view, when it is appeared, when it is understood by each individual, the world will look same for everyone. There is no Dvaita Siddhanta. The world will look one. Brahman will look one. That's called the Brahman Sarvam Brahmamayam Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmam. We will come to this principle if one sees it. But what happens? Because of the immaturity of the mind and intellect, what is that immaturity? The immaturity in the sense, not understanding that it is the Atma that is providing me these thoughts, and I should provide this through the objective experience. While I am looking at an object, what I should understand from the object for the purpose of executing my karma is that analytical study of that object and ultimately reaching the source from where it has come. When I learned that each and every object I will keep on experimenting in my life, and each and every object I will reach a stage that everything has come as a projection from the Brahman. From that unknown has come the smallest Paramanu. From that Paramanu expanded and come to this. Then what happens? You can see everything as Brahman. This is the principle how they say Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman only because the source is from there. From there to the Paramanu and from Paramanu to the objects expanding to the objects. Whether it is live human being, whether it is a sculpture, whether it is a statue, whether it is a building, whether it is earth, whether it is water, whether it is sky. All same. All analysis ends with that Paroksha, Apratyaksha Pramanam. That from the source which has come, they are all, the Brahman is called the Advaita Siddhanta from where it has come. This is what Adi Shankara said. Ultimately we will realize everything is Brahman only. Because these forms and shapes have been created based on your creation of characteristics and the habits, creation of characteristics and the different properties. You created different properties and characteristics in your mind. Based on that, it appeared to you as a particular object by you differentiating. How? You differentiating the Prakriti and the Purusha. When I come to a status where I do not differentiate the Prakriti and Purusha, Prakriti being the projection of the Purusha, when I identify that, all these things get dissolved in that. But I always identify the Prakriti and Purusha as separate, and I always identify each and every object is different. We are saying each and every human being is different. Each and every object is different. Each and every shape and form is different. Like we have learned in Ishavasya Upanishad that a Kumar makes a mud pot, and in different shapes and forms, we identify them in different shapes and forms. You have created these characteristics and properties for the benefit of your execution of karmas. You made a glass, you made a pan, you made a saucepan, you made a flat one, you made a deeper one, you made a longer one, you made a square one, round one, all that. But all that, what's it? Everything has come from the mud, is that understanding of the Advaita. But all these things have been created by you. The properties and characteristics are different, not because they are like that. It is because you have created them by identifying or by separating Prakriti from the Purusha. If you have identified Prakriti and Purusha is the one, all the mud pots are mud. Let us say. You will not depend upon the shapes and forms of them. You are depending on shapes and forms of them means that you have identified them as separate from mud. You are separate. This is a glass. You may call it as a mud glass, but it's a glass. But this is a saucepan. This is that, this is this. See, you identified the same thing in different ways depending upon the properties and characteristics you have created based on the Advaita Siddhanta, based on bifurcation of the Prakriti and Purusha. You got it? So who has, that means this is what I told in the beginning, that what you've experienced through your organs, through your Panchendriyas or the Shendriyas is your world. So if you want to understand that Prakriti is different from Purusha, if the glass is different from the saucepan, you can. That means you will never reach you can never reach that oneness through the diversities. Diversities are from the one has to be understood. These diversities are from the one. The multiplication of various things have happened. As I told you, from the deepest, smallest Paramanu only, the whole world has been created. This has to be understood. Then only I can merge the Prakriti with the Purusha. So long I understand they are all different, I will never understand it has come from the Paramanu. So long I understand all the tree is all different, everything, we can never understand what is called the seed. No? If I know that, I should know the seed. If I know the seed, then only I know that this can grow to the classification or identification of various. This is called for the Advaita Siddhanta. That means whatever we see, whatever we experience through our indriyas, we believe or we understand they are like that, according to my own experience. And your experiences are different. From every day it is different. And so every day you multiply. That man is like this today, that man is like that tomorrow, that man is like this day after tomorrow. So what happens? You are told. What is the end result? When you see the variations and varied things in the same thing, or various characteristics and properties, the more and more you multiply, you misunderstand, you see the variations of the same object, of you multiply it in number of times. So the variations or the multiplications or the numerous things that you see, you create from that. When you keep on doing it, what happens? The mind get used to the anekatva. Anekatva means what? Anekatva is the plurality. Anekatva is the plurality. So the moment you keep on identifying the plurality, you can never understand ekata, that is oneness. One, from one only the aneka has come. So the one we will miss to understand. I will keep on multiplying the anekam into anekam into anekam into anekam. We keep on doing it, and then what is the end result of it? End result of it, either confusion, total confusion, or at a point of time you understand, what is this multiply? From where this, if I can multiply from this anekam to number of this anekam and another anekam, that means what is the beginning of it? That is ekam. So either you learn from that and you come to the ekam, and you get confused till the time you learn. But ultimately you learn that it is from the ekam, the anekam has come. This is called Advaita. That is why Brahmam Sarvam Brahmamayam Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Everything has come from one. Is it not? Suppose I am able to multiply. You are multiplying. Human being is multiplying. Where is the end? Multiplying, multiplying, multiplying. Is there an end? So we keep on multiplying. We understand only multiplying. No. Then we have to think how and why and where it is come. Then you will understand that all Jivatmas have come from the Paramatma for the purpose of execution have come. So this is all the part of the Brahman. It's only for projection of that it is experiencing, but it is ultimately the Brahman Ekam. Is why I told the life is one, the living is so many. Brahman is one. The experience of the Brahman are many. Don't depend on that. But through the experience, it's okay. But through the experience of multiplication of Brahman or the pluralities of Brahman, understand it is from that one Brahman it comes. So ultimately what happens? Our dependency, why this should be understood? Somebody may ask, why should I understand Brahman? Because our dependency on pluralities will come to a standstill, and my dependency will be on one, which is the truth. When I have dependency only on that Brahman, which is the truth, I merge with that. When I have dependency on pluralities of Brahman, I cannot merge with anything. That means in pluralities how to merge? You can merge only in one. That means you remain in the confusion. This confusion of plurality, understanding the plurality or seeing the plurality or believing this plurality is the truth is called ignorance, ajnanam. Got it? This is called ignorance. But understanding that it is all multiplication, there are pluralities. But these pluralities have come from the Brahman is called Jnanam. And this is Ajnanam, Avidya, ignorance. And that's the identification of truth. The search of spirituality is meant for dissolving the pluralities, dissolving the pluralities into the oneness, the one from where it has come. The pluralities I am experiencing, I am feeling through the indriyas for the purpose of execution of karmas. But I cannot depend on them. But dependence should be on the truth from where it has come. That Paramanu from where it has come, all this. That seed from where the tree has come. Yes, I have to believe that. So where should I depend? The tree which will be destroyed after after a few years in a storm or or burning or finished off, or should I depend on the seed? Every year we are sowing the crops, the rice fields and gehu, what is that, wheat and all that. Are we sad that we have cut the wheat, the result of wheat, and make cooking and making food from that? Are we sad about it? No. Why are we not sad? I am sure there is seed. From there I can grow. Any number of times I can grow the rice. Any number of times I can grow the wheat. Why? I have the seed. So if I know the Brahman, everything I can do. You understood how is it? Simply I am translating this to that. How to understand the Brahman? How to identify them? Is it not true? Should you be sad by losing things? You are not sad by cutting the crops and on the other hand we have got harvest festival. Enjoy, harvest festival, we have harvested that. We have harvested it to enjoy it because we have got a festival on that. We enjoy it. Don't you think we should harvest when the harvest, that means if somebody dies, if somebody goes, should we be sad? No, because the source is where it is. And from there, number of multiplications again can come. Are we sad by the crops being, what is that? Harvested? Why? I am confident, I am repeating, of course. Number of times I repeat. It is necessary. In Upanishads, the repetition is necessary. I am confident that the seed is available for me to plant it again. So from one seed, I can plant it. Tree has fallen. Don't worry, pick another pate, make it. So, banana plant trees are fallen. Every time you cut the banana bunch, it is abundant. Cut it out and plant it again, it will come. Why should you worry? Is anybody worried about it? Oh my God, my plant has gone. Now what to do now in my life? Plant cannot come. No. Mango tree has gone. 100 mango seeds it has given, then only it has gone. When it has gone, he has given you 100 mango. You can grow, from me, you can grow 100 mangoes. 100 mango trees. Multiplication of the Paramanu is the ones which has happened to the universe. Same way, from the Brahman, anything can be created. This understanding is called the absolute knowledge, absolute jnanam. That's called the absolute jnanam or the higher consciousness. Somebody asked, what is the higher consciousness? This understanding of from one only everything has come is the higher consciousness. The lower consciousness or the consciousness, what we call as that, is plurality, understanding the plurality. But from the through the consciousness, understanding the plurality, through the understanding of plurality, identifying that this plurality has come from the ekatvam, the oneness or the one, is called the travel to the spirituality, studies on spirituality or spiritual studies or experiencing or realization or renunciation or mukti or moksha, anything. All these things can be called for that. That means from the ignorance of the pluralities, I identified the Eka is called the liberation or realization. That's why it's known as realization. Realization. After realizing there is a Brahman, I live my life dharmically. Again I live. No problem. But that's called dharma. Living dharmically. Identification of the Brahman, Ekatvam, from that living is called the absolute dharmic way of living. Otherwise, I am torn between thousands of multiplications of experiences that I have created the properties and characteristics by dividing Prakriti and Purusha into different. Who did it? You. So you identify through the pluralities, identify that the Brahman. You understand materialism, spiritualism. Or everything is one. Advaita, Siddhanta. It's a beautiful chapter. Wonderful it is. How nice it is to understand this. Once you understand this, is there any problem in the world? Harvesting, we are all doing the harvesting, that's all. Doing harvesting, enjoy, that's all. Everything it will come again. Why are you worried about what you have lost, what you have gained? What you have lost, what you have gained, what is gone? People fight for that, as I told you, properties. What is gone, what is there, what is yours, what is not yours? They are all pluralities created by you dividing the... How can you possess something which is not there? Aparigraha, this, which is not yours. Very, what do you call, absolute ignorance. That which is not mine, I think it is mine. No? Just what is called, we say that, "Arey, sapna dekhta hai kya?" Dream, you are dreaming that something is yours. Are you going to take with you? People say. Is it yours? Nothing is yours. Yes, something has been given, as I told you. Certain things, certain karma balas are supposed to be used for further executing the karma. They are a fuel for running further. But not to enjoy that. There is a difference between these two. We are utilizing the karma balas. It's not that. Some of the karma balas we are utilizing, but not for enjoyment. So you understand now what is said. Material, this, as well as the Paramanu and expansion towards the Bhautika Bhuta, and the Ekam and the Anegam, and identification through the experiencing of mind, dividing the properties and characteristics, identifying the Prakriti and Purusha as separate, and getting stuck into pluralities where I am unable to, that's called the ignorance. From the ignorance you go into the Jnanam, or the knowledge, or to the Brahman. That one is the Satya, from where it has come, is what Adi Shankara also said. Adi Shankara also said that while living in this body, we can have the Brahma Sakshatkaram. What I told you now, we had Brahma Sakshatkaram. We now had Brahma Sakshatkaram by, if I can perceive this, if I understood this, what I said now, we can do that. This is Brahma Sakshatkaram. Once I have the Brahma Sakshatkaram, then I am in the peace. Nothing I lose, nothing I gain. Nothing is gone, nothing has come, nothing is there. This perception will come automatically. There I will be able to perform dharmically, everything dharmically, without attaching me into the result of it. I will attach myself to the karma. I will not attach myself to the karma phala. This is called attachment. What is attachment? Attachment is not that. You understood the difference? So when I don't get attached to the karma phala, I am identifying the Brahman. That's called the jnana. When I enjoy the karma phala, it's an ajnanam, avidya, stuck into pluralities. Anekatvam. Got it? Shanti. So, wonderful. I really enjoyed this. Beautiful. Brahma Sakshatkaram. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.